I looked around in shock. No, I couldn't do this anymore. That's it, Alex. We're done, I said loudly and shoved my loser boyfriend. Then, proudly raising my head, I turned around and left the cafe where we were planning to celebrate our anniversary. Out of the corner of my eye, I could see Alex angrily throwing flowers on the floor. You might think that I'm just an unfeeling monster, but, well, who would have liked that kind of relationship? My now ex-boyfriend couldn't give me anything except vanilla nonsense. We barely went to the movies, went out to eat only a few times in a whole year, and he didn't even buy me anything. When I saw the relationships my friends were in, I realized that mine sucked. And why was that? Because my boyfriend was poor. And now I'm going home very dissatisfied and angry because for our anniversary, I bought him the video game he's wanted for ages. And what did he do? He reserved a table in a cafe and ordered all the cheapest meals. And he brought me some pretty hideous-looking daisies, too. I've had it. He was constantly telling me that he had no money, that his family was in a difficult situation, that everything would definitely change. Alex has been telling me about his financial situation for a whole year, but nothing has changed. Not only did he not give me gifts, but he also barely spent any time with me. You see, his family always has urgent business for him. Alex would constantly up and leave whenever they asked, and then disappear for several days. He didn't even call or write. At first, I didn't pay attention to it, but then it started to wear on me. Alex said that it was difficult for him to be caught between me and his family because his parents were in a tight spot. I put up with it for a while, but then we had a big fight and broke up for the first time. I thought that he would do what my friends' boyfriends do and bring me gifts as an apology, but no. He just wrote apologies and compliments and instant messages, added emoticons, and then literally flooded my inbox with love letters. It was nice, so I forgave him. And now we've broken up for the second and last time because I'm sick of how poor he is. I don't even feel sad about it. I mean, think about it. I'm one of the most popular girls in school, and I will definitely find myself a much better boyfriend. This time, though, I won't look at his inner qualities. I'll just look at his wallet. But who would have thought that my ex would rise so quickly and become the coolest guy in school? If I had not seen it with my own eyes, I would never have believed in this fairy tale. Do you know what happened? He became unbelievably rich overnight. My name is Jean, and this is my story about how I dumped a poor guy and he suddenly became a millionaire. There was a real commotion at school because a lot of people knew Alex as a quiet and sweet guy who didn't stand out at all. At one point, this is exactly what attracted me to him. And then he started wearing expensive clothes. He replaced his old smartphone with an exclusive version of the iPhone. And even his attitude suddenly changed dramatically. He became more confident in himself and even began to smile more often. The girls started hanging all over him and giving him all kinds of attention. I was burning with jealousy. It was so unfair. Why, as soon as we broke up, did he suddenly become so rich and popular? And how did he do it? I really wanted to find out, but I felt weird about going up to him and asking him anything. I did a very ugly thing to Alex when I broke up with him right in the cafe on our anniversary. But then an incident brought us together. When I was walking home after school, Craig, the captain of the school football team, stopped me. He's been pursuing me for a while and has made it clear he wants to be my boyfriend. But I've never liked Craig, which I told him, and not for the first time. Only he didn't like that answer at all. He took my hand roughly, pulled me to him, and said that I would be his girlfriend whether I liked it or not. "Let go of her," a voice came from behind us. It was Alex. He confidently walked up to Craig and without further ado, punched him in the face. Craig fell to the ground, but he didn't hit back. Now that Alex was so rich, he was pretty much off limits to guys like Craig. Alex hugged me and gently asked if I was okay. At that moment, I was so confused that I couldn't even find the right words. I felt giddier around him than I'd ever felt before. I was insanely embarrassed and said that I was fine. Alex smiled and made an unexpected offer. He invited me to the coolest restaurant in our city. Naturally, I didn't refuse. I had a wonderful evening with him. And then Alex ordered a limousine, and we drove around the city for a long time. It was the most magical date of my life. I liked this kind of Alex better. He was generous, gallant, didn't skimp on gifts, and constantly took me out. Once, Alex ordered a helicopter, and we went to the top of a mountain, where there was a dinner laid out on a table, musicians, and a vase full of lush flowers already waiting for us. I couldn't believe my eyes. I even photographed this miracle and posted it on Instagram with the caption, "My boyfriend is a millionaire. Jealous?" At dinner, I asked how he got so rich so fast. Alex replied that his parents' business was finally taking off. They had tried to enter a larger market for many years, but they often failed and ended up in debt. In the last year, even Alex had to come up with a business plan with his parents to earn money for food. And all that work paid off in full. I wasn't helping them for nothing, Alex said proudly. And I felt insanely ashamed for sulking over him working for his parents before. When we were on our way home, Alex suddenly asked me if I would have started dating him again if he hadn't become rich. Of course, I lied to him and said that I regretted breaking up with him on the very first day. He was very happy to hear this, and in my head, I was already imagining what luxury gifts he would shower me with, where we would celebrate my birthday, and where we would go for vacation in the summer. But my plans collapsed overnight. After a fabulous week with Alex, he said that his parents had been tricked, and now they will have to give back all the money. They would have to shut down the business once and for all to solve the problem. At that moment, I didn't think about my boyfriend's feelings. I thought about myself and how much of a mess this would be for me. I saw how embarrassed he was, but he blushed even more when he asked me to return the iPhone he gave me. "I'm sorry, but this will help my family. Can you give it back if you wouldn't mind?" Of course I minded. Why did I have to return the gifts he gave me? I gently explained to Alex that it was indecent for him to ask for this, and that a real man would find a way out of the situation without asking. And then he started whining and complaining. He said that he was to blame for everything because he accidentally got his parents mixed up in a scam, that he needs to somehow get out of this, and that he needs help and support. I dismissed all of that. I hate whiners. I just replied that he should stop sniveling so much about it. I was actually ashamed of him. Yesterday, he was a self-confident millionaire, and now he was back to being an ordinary guy in silly clothes with an old smartphone and that same unbearable whining. Alex just nodded his head and left, and I exhaled in relief. Finally, some peace and quiet. But the thought of having to listen to Alex again at school the next day infuriated me. However, I was shocked when he drove up to school in a Porsche and walked out wearing an expensive suit. I didn't understand what was happening. Yesterday, he couldn't even afford a sandwich in the cafeteria, and now he was driving such an expensive car. I wanted to go up to him and find out everything, but his guards roughly pushed me away. "I'm actually his girlfriend," I declared indignantly. The guards just reported dryly that Alex had ordered them not to let me near him. What? How could he treat me like that? I looked in his direction, and he smiled contentedly and went inside. With all the emotions that were rushing through me, I started thinking hard about what had happened. After a long time, it dawned on me how he had become so dramatically rich again. I realized that it was a trick. Of course Alex was testing me. I lied and said that I would date him under any circumstances. And when he allegedly lost all his money, I instantly lost interest in him. I was such a naive fool. How could I fall for such a trick? Well, okay, since he was treating me so cruelly, then he was an idiot, and I don't date jerks. But at the same time, it was really unpleasant to see Alex spend so much time with the mousy honor roll student. I just couldn't understand what he saw in her because she paled in comparison to me. So, to spite him, I also started dating someone. In front of everyone else, everything was perfect. We held hands, walked to and from school together, and he gave me chocolates. But he was such a narcissist that I quickly started to feel sick. He was fixated only on himself, his problems, and his appearance. And at some point, I began to miss the sensitive Alex, his touching letters, ridiculous daisies, and endless support. When I was sick, he always came to visit me and spent a lot of time at my house. And when I failed a test, he sat and studied with me a lot so I would be able to pass it next time. But because of my materialism and demands, I didn't notice his kindness. And I felt so sad. I realized all my mistakes and stupid behavior. Why did it take me so long? Alex was now dating another girl who probably gave him what he wanted from me: attention, care, tenderness, and love. And I was left with nothing. But despite this, I still decided to apologize for everything. I wrote him a long letter apologizing for my mistakes and strange behavior. I didn't even ask him to go out with me, as I understood that it wouldn't happen. I put the letter in his mailbox. I only hoped he wouldn't just rip it up. The next day, he came up to me. I was so happy to see him that I smiled broadly. Alex sat down next to me and said that there could be nothing between us because it was still difficult for him to trust me. But if what you wrote is true, then in the future you will definitely meet a good guy, and I will be happy for you. I just nodded. I really didn't want to stop talking to Alex, and neither did he, even after all the cruel things I said. After a little time, he was able to forgive me, and we began to talk again, but as friends. And we had a lot of fun together. Alex noticed how I had changed. And who knows, maybe he will ask me out again. Would you date a poor guy? Write your answers in the comments, like the video, and share it with your friends.